Cam Newton is never choosing jazz. Choosing jazz. That's what the title of the video was downloaded to be. And we're going to get into it. Greetings, guys. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Monette. This is my channel, Evolve with Monette. For those of you that are new here, I'm a professional intuitive empath, so good to share energy with you. Come on in. Thank you for inviting me in. Have a bit of a stay. Interested in working with me, you can find my website link below in the description box. And anything else you might want to know, check with your angels first, and then we'll go. Cam Newton is never choosing jazz. Y'all. We've watched this play out like a slow train wreck. This really came to my awareness. Jasmine Brown is a beautiful comedian and talent and, various many other things, who came to my awareness with some video she was making a few years ago, but really with a video from Shan Boody. If you guys are familiar with Shan Boody, the sex therapist, Shan Boody interviewed her on her podcast or whatever a couple years ago. I'm going to see if I can find the link and put it below for the reference point. And she was talking about how she pleases her man, thank you to her man. Now, she was singing a full different tune about pick-me's and don't be a pick-misha and, you know, don't be stupid and just trying to put girls onto game. That was her shtick. That was her internet viral attempts and moments and whatnot. She did not own it. And then she backtracked it when she was pregnant with Cam's jersey on. And she says it's different when a rich ninja presses you. Like, how hard would it be for you to stand or withstand the pressure of someone with Cam's affluence, game? Maybe she feels his charm, his attractiveness, whatever she feels about him. How would you withstand that? Would you be able to turn that down? So she was backpedaling and pee-popping on a handstand, eating her words, where she was extolling the dangers of being a pick-me to any degree. And she decided, I wanted to be picked, and she said so unapologetically. What I'd like to do is know that these people are teachers. So before you feel guilty about our examination today, we're going to talk about them. But we're going to talk about them from an astrological perspective, why it's going this way, and just some opinions that are floating in for me. If they were clients, how would I counsel them, and or what do I see? First thing to note here is you're dealing with two people that are very familiar with never enough, avaricious, and greedy. And what that means is they are both Tauruses. And that doesn't mean every Taurus is that, but Taurus is very identified with what I have, okay? So it's very important for Tauruses to be in possession of the things. Their kids can, if they're not balanced, become things. They can have shopping addictions. They can like to acquire. They can like the nicest of whatever. If they have maybe a doll collection, it's the most exquisite and something's flown in from Japan every Thursday. And that's the level of Taurus energy, because Taurus rules our senses. So the way that things feel. Now, Cam is born on May 11th and Jazz is born on May 15th. So these two are very close in literal birthday age, and I imagine, knowing Cam and how he's charming and likes to chat, that was a bonding moment. Like, we're both Tauruses, we get each other. So I have good news and I have bad news for any onlooker. Whilst Cam is never choosing Jazz, in his own way, he feels as though he has chosen Jazz. And for what Cam usually offers, Jazz feels chosen too. Because for a Taurus woman, especially talking about someone pressing you, their ideal is to be the kept rich woman. They have no problem being business owners and entrepreneurs and whatever. But I've known a few, and so have many of you, and maybe some of you are that too, where if you had your druthers, being home in a luxurious mansion with ample food, Tauruses get very squirrely in food droughts. It's a big deal, doesn't matter what their size is. They like to know there's a stocked pantry. They like to know where their jeans are at and where their clothes are hanging and everything is organized. They actually are fantastic homemakers. If they have that gene, they don't have any other traumas or anything else happening. They're actually fantastic homemakers, fantastic cooks. They take great pride in it. So to have the state-of-the-art everything and do that is the dream for a very Taurus energy, a feminine energy specifically. Men too really enjoy. Some of the best hosts to parties and such. I have a nephew who's a doctor who's a Taurus, and the jazz is on before you get in the door. The flank steak is perfectly rested. The wine is selected. He's just, what a sweet man, and what salt of the earth. I so enjoy. I love my niece. My niece is like my blood niece, but the husband she picked is just a king. He's just a king, and it feels, even though he's a young man in his 30s, he feels very much like his 1950s. But that's the energy the Taurus man will bring. They're making you the custom cocktail for you, as what he does. He's the barista, and he's just doing all of the things, and it's so lovely. But he is probably one of the best entertainers I've really run across as a Taurus male, because they just get it. Everything is perfect. The lights are dimmed. It's just really an aesthetic and sensual experience. Well, these two, for her, what I imagine, this is just my conjecture and my opinion, is that, man, it felt wonderful to finally feel like I'm of service to someone. She talks about it in her interview with Shambudi, rubbing his back to sleep, allowing some other things that were very questionable, how the internet aunties up in arms. You know, she's not really fond of anal sex. He is, but she says she gifts that to him, GIFTS. She gifts that to him because that's not just her duty, but it makes her so happy to have him derive pleasure. She's on with a sex therapist, so it's like, well, good sex is about mutual beneficial pleasure. And yes, there can be moments where one partner's getting a little bit extra, this and that, but usually it's about reciprocity. In its highest form is synergy, and merging, and tantra deliciousness, but just you being in pain, even though you get nothing out of it. And also there's vibrators. There's so many ways that pleasure could be added to some degree to her experience. And it was very telling to me, just as a person who talks to people about all manner of things, including their sexuality at times. I was like, sis, how do you not realize that this is a little bit low-key, high-key abusive? And, you know, I'm not going to yuck your yum or kink shame, but why does he not like, hey, babe, do you want a vibrator for you? Like, how can I bring you pleasure too? No, it's like this act of gifting herself to him. It was a little bit triggering for a lot of people watching. But it said so much about her mindset. And I could see the blissful birdiness. Like, literally, like she was a bird in her brain. God bless. But I could see the blissful birdiness of being in love with someone who pressed you, who happened to be wealthy and good looking, and a catch to you. So what she has with him, and as two Taurus signs, they're both fixed signs, they're both earth sign energies, they're locked in as long as he wants to be locked in. And maybe she has learned how to not rock the boat, not how to push him. She doesn't want to be cast off that island, because for her, it's the best thing that's happened for her. She went from yelling in her car to, you know, making taquitos at her home bar and restaurant, of which he will not allow a chef or any help to come in, but she's okay. As a Taurus woman, she does really enjoy doing the housemaking. And I actually believe that. I actually believe that, having known some beautiful Taurus women housemakers, and that nephew of mine too, that's a fantastic host. I will tell you though, y'all, that's about as far as it goes. And that means that she did a lot of swallowing into the cool girl aesthetic that a lot of us worked to unravel in the late 2000s. That we decided we didn't want to be a cool girl, that we didn't like actually what was happening. We weren't that cool with it. There are things that she's not cool with, but she realized that I'm going to outwit and use my fixed sign energy to be here and stick next to Cam, not only as long as he'll have me. I'm going to make myself such an incredible option to him and gift him his pleasure for my pain, and anything else he wants that's insane, because I want to be chosen. And I will be chosen because I'm going to rig the system, reverse engineer it, if you will, from the perspective of being a Taurus like him. So what does a Taurus man need? Well, I know what I need, so I'm going to provide that in spades. I don't see their separation happening anytime soon. I feel like they have the potential to hang on. And I feel like what will happen is that Cam will at some point throw her a bone, not a shut up ring, but really invite her more into his home, but not before more children, more shenanigans, and more scandals. There's a price she is willing to pay because she says, I'm going to lean into that Taurus energy, fixed energy, and I'm going to stay because no man's ever loved me this way. And love for Taurus very much is spelled M-O-N-E-Y. No one's ever put money on my head like this. So if he wants to be Romeo Must Die, then I'm going to make sure he has extra condoms. If he wants to bring home a girl, then I'm going to make sure that, I swirl on her areolas extra hard. Whatever he wants. Because what I want is this lifestyle. And now she's bonded to him. Trauma bonded, pair bonded, truly biologically bonded. She had a child with him. She sleeps with him. She sleeps in the house with him. She sleeps in the bed with him. I truly believe this woman does not want to not be part of his existence. And she's willing to forfeit what we consider self-respect. But here's the thing, too, about relationships and everybody being nosy on the internet. What do we really know? If they've achieved a level of homeostasis in their home, no matter how I feel about it and how triggered I can be, and even Shambooty, if you watch the podcast that she did, was alarmed. You could see the alarm on her face. You could see that she was like, no, wait, sis, what? We all had that question collectively. And then Jazz continued to dig deeper and burrow into the place where she's not feeling complacency. She feels bliss. She says she feels happy. She says she feels loved. She says she's known a man and loved a man differently. There's something to be said of men of this caliber. And it makes perfect sense to me, specifically with Cam. He's a master number there on the 11th. And Taurus are fantastic at acquiring, so he'll have his hands in many businesses and whatever. I believe there'll be businesses that are going to crop up from Jasmine as well. It will not just be homemaking. I think she'll do something here in the next couple of years. She wants another baby, is what I just channeled. Just a heads up, 7 up. Okay. But after the babies, I think that she'll be moving into something that will be funded and helped, and he'll be like, look, see, because that's a big deal for Cam. But Taurus men... they like to keep their options free. And I think what we see here is an understanding of which Jasmine is willing to let be. Okay? She's like, I like my position so much. And this is a price that a Taurus person will pay. If where I'm at feels so good, how and why would I walk away? I will tolerate a lot. I used to have a Taurus friend who was all about brokering and leveraging whatever she had to maintain a lifestyle that she wanted to project onto social media, or that she wanted to fully embody. If no one else saw a picture, she just wanted to know that she could go to her perfectly pearled little clasp purse that she got at Prada, whatever, like that. I literally watch her take her beautifully kept. Tauruses are fantastic at taking care of things. I will say, if they're in a high vibration and they didn't cover my home with hoarding or anything like that, they really keep good care. But she would take her little pristine purses and beautiful clothing and vintage things that she's had for years and years, because it meant something to her, because the acquisition of the thing marked a moment. And if I can watch my Taurus friend do that, I think about Jazz. She acquired access into that home. That man trusts her. He's talked about her infinitesimally. She's talked about him. And so for Jasmine, that's chosen. He picked me. He selected me. I have access. I have all of this. He loves me. He trusts me. And if it means I have to swallow the cool girl aesthetic and I have to act like it's totally fine that he needs all of the women to satisfy him and I'll just sit beside him, that's okay. But that's a decision they made in their relationship, and it's a game that Jasmine is willing to play. Will it cost her something? I think all of these things can erode and take a toll on your soul eventually. But I think that what we're watching is someone who has redefined relationship in the way that they want it to be. I believe that this is as married as Cam will be. May he marry her later. I do think there will be an actual ceremony. He's going to give it to her. Oh, you deserve it. You earned it. Blah, 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 blah. But it will be with the implicit agreement that whatever is going on the underbelly here is going to continue to go on. Whether it's lack of accountability or this or that. He can be petty too. I'm like, Jazz, watch how he treated those other ladies. Because as any lady that's ever been treated by someone shady, it can easily be you. Keep your eye on these two. But they are married in the way that Cam is willing to choose. Choosing Jazz would mean that he would have to choose forfeiting his selfishness and leaning into selflessness. And what he's done is kind of gaslit and played a game, but with someone who was willing. This is not an innocent participant. She's not a victim. She went from highly educated and aware to simping and feeding ignorance because she didn't have a financial care. I think there's a price to be paid somewhere in the middle there. But also there's a model here, because you get to decide what your relationship looks like. You get to decide what you can tolerate, what you can put up with. But the pitfall of two fixed signs and earth signs being together is that they will long overstay their welcome in connection. So you may be sick of your partner or over. It's time to move on to the next one. If both of you guys are earth signs, there's a propensity to be in that relationship an extra 5 years, 10 years. And there might be love there, but there's not passion there. I still see love. She's in love with him. I think he feels happy that he finally found a woman that accepts his shenanigans. And so whilst he's never choosing her, because he's never going to choose his selflessness over her. He's never going to put her first in any capacity in their relationship. This is the closest to choosing and to marriage that I think Cam can get, even if he gives her the actual thing as some facsimile, some paper tiger. The thing about it is that this is, to him, the heights of connection and commitment, because this is as far as it's been pushed, and she's the one who pushed it, because she is fixed, because she has the patience, and because even if he marries her at 75, to her, when he chooses Jess, then it will have been worth it. It'll have been worth the long, scenic drive to what many people thought was nowhere, because if she arrives at the end of an aisle somewhere out there, whether she has a cane or gray hair, she was chosen. And that's why she's stuck in there. And she won't give a damn what anyone has to say about it, because she'll say, this was my plan the whole time. The game was always fixed. And I think that's going on with these two Taurus sun signs. It is a fixed game. Even if to us onlookers it seems lame, for those two, what I'm channeling right now is that it works. I'm referencing my my whiteboard here. It works. It works. Until it doesn't work. They said there's a plot twist that's coming up with that. That's happening in the next 4 years. Anyway, we'll see. That's what you need to know. Are you a Taurus? Do you know a Taurus? Have you ever loved a Taurus? Do you take good care of your stuff? Do you love your food? Do you make a great home? Are you great with making sure your kids' clothes match your clothes and everything's pressed and ironed? Y'all are so beautiful too. You make things look good, taste good, feel good, tactile home. It's so good being up underneath you. So I know why Cam loves it there. I get it. But for Cam to evolve, he would have to ascend into a place of selflessness. It's not even about the wedding or the ring or the choosing. We need to see Cam not make everything about him. And until that happens, there is no real up-leveling and evolution. Jazz has done a lot of the heavy lifting. Hashtag Empath Earth Angels. Does that seem familiar? It's probably why it's triggering to us to watch. And made him, like she talks about with Shambuti, just the most easy life, complete with whatever you want, even if it makes me cry. That's not healthy. But I don't see her moving anywhere. I'm gonna stick beside him. That's my man. I'm gonna stick beside. That's her plan. Now you know. Anyway, guys, come back and join me next time, and we'll continue to unravel these. Make it fit if it works with you. Release it if it doesn't, if you don't want to. But maybe just learn something about what in this does or doesn't work for you. Would you want a relationship that you curated that's specific for you? Would you want something that's traditional? Do you have certain expectations out of your spouse, no matter which sex they are? If it's what they have, a bridge too far, and for the right money, would it be too far for you? That's some of the questions that these two volunteers on our world stage showed up to work through, so that we can self-reflect and ask the questions of ourselves too. All right, so good sharing energy with. Come back and join me next time, guys. We'll continue to evolve together.